farming here really stems from, I suppose, as far back as 1973-ish, when I suddenly found I was making a modest amount of money, and thought that there ought to be better things to do with it than what other people would consider to be the appropriate trappings of such success. And I started back then looking for an estate in Scotland. I mean, anything from 10 acres to thousands. I used to go on tours, sitting on transatlantic flights surrounded by books on fish farming and reading dressing rooms and things, trying to pick up what it was all about. And we began the testing here in '78. Having bought the estate, first thing we did, in fact, was to put a raft out there and test for oxygen, temperature, currents and so on. We did that for 9 months and put our first cage in the water, which appeared to do everything that the books suggested they might.
Ian Anderson's aim was to buy a property which would give him some return on his investment. The biggest asset of this 15,000-acre estate is its sheltered loch, and it seemed the ideal location for a salmon farm. 6 years after his first experiments, he is now producing about 100 tons of salmon a year. Although expensive to set up, the running costs on the farm are kept down with a high degree of automation. Each feeder holds a day's supply of food, which it drops into the salmon cages at 1-minute intervals. Every cage holds about 2,000 fish, which are graded by age and size, and they need 2 years on the farm before they are ready to be eaten. But of course there are casualties along the way. The 20 cages have to be checked for dead fish every day, and then the corpses are examined for any disease. In charge of this operation is Robert Kelly, who used to be the Jethro Tull road manager. He is now the manager of the salmon farm.
No, can't see anything wrong with that.
Right, put it down to suicide. It really does take the pressure off the wild species, and I think most people are aware that wild salmon are diminishing in numbers, or at least are being caught in less numbers. They have certainly been overfished for a great many years now. And the last 2 or 3 years have certainly seen a decline in catches and an increase effectively in the price, which has ironically made it possible to farm salmon in the first place. If the wild were more plentiful, the price would be lower, simple supply and demand, and it would not be economic to farm the species.
No, leave that in there.
A good wild fish is terrific, but an average wild salmon being netted at sea tend to be badly handled on occasion. You can never really be sure how fresh the fish is if it's been in and out of boats, in and out of freeze, guts probably been left in it too long and so on. But a lot of people will actually go for farmed over wild because of consistency of quality.
Surprisingly, salmon farming does not lower the price of this already expensive fish. Whereas the cost of farmed trout is about 1/3 of wild, farmed and wild salmon keep pace with each other. But with more than 60 salmon farms already operating in Scotland, the price might start to fall. Traditionally, salmon was only available during the summer months, when the wild fish swam in from the sea and up into the freshwater rivers to spawn. But now there's a continuous production, with the fish being harvested all the year round. So that the much valued pink flesh does not get bruised, salmon must not be moved for 12 hours after rigor mortis has set in. Over on the other side of Scotland, near Inverness, is the smoking factory which Ian Anderson set up with some financial help from the Highlands and Islands Development Board. It mainly processes the salmon from his own farm, but occasionally it takes in other people's salmon, or even venison. Most of the fish grown on the farm go for smoking, although some are sold fresh either in British fish markets or increasingly for export to France and Belgium. Smoking is a complicated business, what with the gutting, the deboning, the soaking and the salting to bring out the flavour. Then each fish needs 7 hours absorbing the smoke made by burning oak wood shavings. But considering the returns, it's all worthwhile. An average salmon costs about £1.20 to raise, but smoked salmon can fetch more than £10 a pound, with most smoked salmons weighing in at about £5 each.
Well, I think salmon is always going to be, relatively speaking, at the luxury end of the food spectrum, but I think these days people take their eating more seriously, and smoked salmon is one of those available items at a reasonable price, although it is obviously a luxury. Salmon being a fairly low-fat, high-protein, good-quality fish is ideal, I think, alternative to the Sunday roast or any quality meat. I'm a serious farmer of salmon. I muck in from time to time, and I quite enjoy doing the work. But up till now, certainly it's been down to me to provide the financing for it, which I can more easily do in the pursuit for which I'm better known. Salmon farming is the tip of the iceberg as far as aquaculture is concerned in the western part of Scotland. And probably within 5 years we'll find farming halibut, turbot and cod real possibilities economically, because it costs money to raise an animal, whether it's a cow, a salmon or whatever it might be.